All right, so I'm going to do one more version of the aux effects tutorial. And again, we're going to be using the X32 for our live audio, but I'm also going to show you how to do this on the XR app as well. They're very similar. I do want to cover both options. So I simply have channel 1 with my microphone coming in. I've got good preamp level coming down the channel strip. It is assigned to the left right. I can see that here. I've got my master volume set, and that controls what you're hearing. I'm at +2 or 3 here, going out the left, right, and so that's working as normal. Now, there are a few ways to send an aux effect from a channel into an effects unit up here in 1 through 4. We're going to give an example of 2 reverbs in this video. So the ways to do that would be to pull out the effects here in the 16 bus options, or we can come over to bus 13 where the effects default 13, 14, 15, and 16. I can click on that. That puts us in sends on fader mode. And now I can send this channel 1 to that effects bus. And you can see that mirror up into the overview window. The sends on fader mode is probably the easiest. When you want to mix to your left and right, you're here in the left and right. And of course, you mix your band here to the left and right. If you go to bus 13, which is reverb effect 1, you can now mix any of the channels that you want of your band into that effects unit. So this is considered probably the easiest way. There is one more way to do that. If you select a channel and go up to sends, you will get your 16 bus sends here. And again, 13, 14, 15, and 16 are your effects sends. And again, this will mirror what we're seeing down below. So 3 ways to do the exact same thing. All right, go back to our overview, realize we are sending to 13. So at this point, you may think, okay, great, I'm sending this effect to bus 13. It should be coming into my effects unit. I come up here to the effects unit and I don't see anything. So we may immediately think there's a problem. I can even come back to my main left right. I can come over to my aux and effects returns, and I don't see anything coming in on the effects like I should. So there's something obviously that we missed, and it's pretty simple. Let's go back and check this out. I've got effects number 1 on aux 13 sending to the effects bus, but over here is my master, and I simply have it muted, and I have the master turned down. I can turn it up to 0, and now at this point, I'm completing the send to the master, and now with this up, it is sending to the effect. Now I will see the effect come in and out, and once it comes out, we should be able to click back over to our left, right, come over to the aux, and now I see it here. And of course, the reason that we can't hear it is because it's muted. So I can simply unmute that and we can hear the effect. This right here does parallel the mute button on the channel strip return. I say that that's not very intuitive. They probably ought to change that. But for now, just realize that is the channel return mute. And we have the reverb. And we can do the exact same thing for effects 2. We want to go back to our left, right. Probably want to go to our mixer overview. We want to look at the channels. We want to click on channel 1, and I can either pull out the send here, or I can simply go to effect bus number 14. I'm in sends on fader mode. I can now turn this up, and now I'm sending quite a bit of my aux into effects number 2, and now I'm sending it into bus 14, which is my effects number 2. And of course, I've got it muted. I have the master turned down. And with that, it's now going into the reverb. I can unmute that and hear it. And again, that's just a shortcut way to mute and unmute those channel returns. I would think this means mute and unmute the effect send or something, but not the return. But it is the return. We can go check that. And again, I can mute and unmute up here in this area. All right, so that's just a quick overview. I did build a custom channel script down here. So remember the steps. You're going to have your effects sends on any channel that you want. In our case, it's 1 and 2. That's going to go to the bus masters 13 and 14 in our case. It's now coming here, but with this down and muted, it's not going to get to the effects unit. So always make sure these masters are up. Once these are up, we can go over to effects 1. We can confirm we're getting them in here. If we're not getting them back out, there's a few issues that could be at play, but in most cases, it's just the fact that these channels are down or muted. So unmute, I still don't hear it, and finally, this is up. All right, so that's a quick overview here, just to make sure you've got your sends, your master sends, and your returns. And if you've not changed anything over in routing, everything should work fine. Now on the XR, it's the same thing. Let's just do a virtual check here. My microphone is still going to the X32. I'm going to show you on the XR app. We have a microphone coming in. We turn up our microphone into the left right. The left right is up and unmuted. So we've got sound. We now want to send some reverb into effects 1. I can pull it out here. I can go to my send or my microphone channel, and I've got it here as well. Or I can do the sends on fader. I can go down to effects 1, and this fader is now sending to effects 1, which mirrors or parallels the blue line up in the overview screen. So at this point, I am sending signal into the bus master, and it is muted. It is down. I can turn that up. And so now we've completed the signal flow into the effect unit. I can come to my effect unit. I would see the input and the output. And of course, lastly, we need to make sure that we can hear the return. And I want to go ahead and check the return. Now, this is a mistake a lot of people make. They'll come down here and go, okay, I'm going to turn this on here, and I should be able to hear my effect. And at that point, you just created a massive feedback loop, because what you've done is you're sending what to what? Well, we're sending this effect return into the effect, out into the effect, back into the effect, etc. And we've created a massive feedback loop. You have to make sure that you're not sending effects into effects. So once we have left this tab and confirmed that we have input and output, when we come back here, we want to make sure we go to our left, right. Okay, and of course, I've got my left and right already up, so I would be hearing reverb right now. But just make sure you understand the issue of sending effect into an effect. You're sending this microphone into the effect, and if you turn this up, you're sending the effect into the effect. It works just like anything else. So make sure the left right is selected, and now we have reverb. So if you have any questions, come join one of our Behringer user groups, Behringer XR, or the new Behringer XXX, which covers Behringer X32, XR, and X-Touch.